Interesting weather fact. Lightning and flooding kill more people in the United States annually than hurricanes and tornadoes combined. So you shouldn't fear tornadoes. You shouldn't fear hurricanes, especially if you don't live on the coast. But be wary of lightning. Be wary of flooding. Those are much more dangerous, much more deadly. Why am I talking about weather phenomenon? Well, today's episode, if you will, is dedicated to weather. I'll be going through lots of weather facts and just talking about weather. I am, in fact, myself a meteorologist, which is why I was super excited to try this soap. This is a sample that I got from Maggard's Razor, and it is Chiseled Face Summer Storm. I've been eyeing this soap for a while, and literally the name of it kind of caught me. I honestly didn't look up the description except for like a while back. It is supposed to be kind of reminiscent of like rain and kind of some soil, some sod, maybe some moss type scents. I actually get a lot of rose out of this. That's kind of what I smell. My wife says she smells like carrots, kind of. I mean, scent is different for everybody. But yeah, it's nice. It's very pleasant. Kind of a little bit powdery. I'd almost say even like a barbershop. I don't think it's billed as that, if you will, but that's kind of what I get. Just kind of a nice, pleasant, light, floral almost. I get a little bit of rose. It definitely smells different as you lather it, and I'm going to do a bowl lather here in a second. But yeah, Chiseled Face Summer Storm. And like I said, therefore I'll be doing a whole lot of weather facts and whatnot throughout this shave. What else will I be using? As far as my lather bowl, I'll be using my Timeless blue lather bowl. It's got those great ridges on the bottom. I'll be using a Yaqi 24 millimeter brush to whip up that lather in that bowl. My razor today, also Yaqi. This is a Yaqi, can't remember the name of the, I think it's like the Diablo or something handle, and then the head is called a Mellon head. It's an open comb, double open comb. It's actually pretty mild. It looks like it would be aggressive as hell, but it's actually pretty mild. And then a Lord blade, very cheap blade. You can get a 100 pack for like $6-7. This is my fourth use. I have good luck with these blades. I find them to be really, really well. So yeah, basically, yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about weather, and I'll do more so while I'm actually doing the shave. Oh, finally here, one more thing. This is what I'll be finishing everything up with. This is Dove Men's Aftershave Balm, Post-Shave Balm. Hydrate Plus. This is great stuff. I really like this. And I feel like the scent complements the Chiseled Face soap really well. They're both kind of light and kind of fresh smelling. Good summer scents since it is summer. We've actually moved into August now, so things are still very much in the swing of summer. So let's go ahead and switch angles now. We'll switch down to the bowl lather. Even though this is a fairly soft soap, I would, like I said, almost even describe it as a cream. I do have a little bit of water, just a splash of water in there that I've had setting on top to let it kind of sit just for a couple of minutes to soften up. So I'll go ahead and start the bowl lather. Some more interesting weather facts. The deadliest weather event in United States history was the Galveston Hurricane. Early 1900s, 1906, something like that. It is estimated that it killed as many as 12,000 people. At least 3,000 or 4,000 people were known to have died, but there were entire families that were swept out to the ocean, and they didn't know what happened to them, basically. So as many as potentially 12,000 people died. There's a great book, a very creepy book, because it goes into the details of the deaths and whatnot and the destruction. A book called Isaac's Storm. It's because the chief meteorologist in Galveston, Texas, was named Isaac, and it's all about his prediction of the storm. And he survived, but I believe his wife was killed. It's by Eric Larson. You should check it out. Great book. Eric Larson is one of my favorite authors. He wrote a book called The Devil in the White City, and it's about a serial killer at the 1894 Chicago World's Fair. Very interesting book. Yeah, so interesting book with kind of a macabre subject. And this came together quickly, so I don't need to mention any more weather facts while I'm down here on the bowl lather. But there you go. You can see that this stuff does great bowl lather for this summer's storm soap. Let me go back up to my face. So I've already done my pre-shave. I used just an unscented bar of glycerin soap, and I washed my face very, very thoroughly. I've got the bowl here, just adding a tiny bit more water. And yeah, like rose. Not a huge fan of rose. My grandmother had a rose bush when I was a kid, and I think more than anything, I just didn't like the look of it. It was very, she let it kind of go, so it just kind of was sprawling out everywhere, and the petals rather of the blooms kind of started to get that kind of brown on the edges, you know, and it just didn't look the best. And I think there were always bees around it, and that maybe scared me. I don't know, it's not bad, but a little bit earthy is what I get. Like I said, my wife says she kind of smells carrots or something like in a garden. I don't know. Going back to weather, so obviously the Galveston Hurricane, very deadly hurricane there. There's been some pretty, bam, look at that. Pretty devastating hurricanes even in more recent history. Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Michael was pretty bad. So I've actually been to 2 hurricanes. Back in 2008, me and another meteorologist, I was not a meteorologist at the time, went to Hurricane Gustav, which made landfall in Franklin, Louisiana. And him and I were there when it made landfall. That was incredible. It was like 14 hours of just torrential rain, and it was just pounding winds. 110 mile an hour winds. It was crazy. It was a very strong Category 2 or even kind of a weak Category 4. But so far this hurricane season has been very quiet, but it typically doesn't ramp up until September and then even potentially into October. So late August, September, early October, that's when you really have to watch out for hurricanes. And then I went to another hurricane, 2012 or 2013, Hurricane Isaac, which, you know, I mentioned Isaac storm, but that was the name of the storm, not the name of the Galveston hurricane. The Galveston Hurricane actually didn't have a name. They didn't name them until like the 1930s or 1940s, 50s maybe. And obviously, if it's a really destructive hurricane, they actually retire the name. But tornadoes are really, I mean, I grew up in Texas, so tornadoes are really what gets me excited. I've never seen a tornado. I've been very close. Just a few days ago, last week, we had like 3 tornadoes in Wisconsin. Small, at EF0, EF1 tornadoes. Another interesting fact, you've heard of the EF scale, or you might have just heard it as the F scale. It stands for Fujita, which was a Japanese meteorologist, and he studied tornadoes. And then EF stands for Enhanced Fujita, because they've kind of tweaked his scale a little bit. But it basically rates the speed of wind within a tornado. And so EF5 is kind of typically what we think of as the strongest tornado. There has been potentially 2 EF6s. One was in a city of Moore, Oklahoma, 2003, I believe. And then there was another one in Oklahoma as well, I believe. Might have been Alabama. I can't remember. Technically, the Enhanced Fujita scale goes up to like EF17, I think. Because wind speeds at that point are like 700 miles an hour, which is like the speed of sound, Mach 1. But EF5 is typically what we think of when we think of the strongest tornadoes. EF1, EF0 are pretty common here in Wisconsin. Which is a good thing because I don't want to see, catastrophic tornadoes here in my state. Which is also interesting, just to our south and to our west, in Iowa, they have a ton of tornadoes. Iowa, Kansas, everyone remembers the Wizard of Oz. Should check out a video. You go to YouTube, and if I remember, I'll put a link in the description. But you can see how they shot the footage for Wizard of Oz, the tornado scene. It's crazy. That movie was so ahead of its time. Sorry, I've got soap in my eye. You could probably see it on my eyelash. That movie was way ahead of its time. So yeah, weather just fascinates me. I love weather. It was at Hurricane Gustav in 2008 that the meteorologist convinced me to do meteorology school and become a meteorologist. He's like, you'd be great at it. You love to talk, and you're a smart guy. You could do it. So I did, and I enjoyed my years as a meteorologist. Someday, I may go back to reporting the weather. We'll see. We'll just see how it goes. It's funny now at my job. I mean, you've heard me say before, I just have an office job. But everybody, when we had those storms like last week, everyone's coming and asking me, how bad is it going to be? When is it going to affect us and whatnot? And I love that. I love to answer people's weather questions. If you guys have any weather questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll read those and I will answer them as best as I can. This could be like weather quiz bowl. What else is going on? We just got done with a little camping trip with my in-laws. We went and camped last weekend. I was super excited because my oldest daughter, who's 3, went swimming for the first time. She had a blast. It made me very proud to see her swimming. She actually just also started swimming lessons. So that is very cool. That's what's going on with me. Also, the Milwaukee Bucks just won a national championship. I'm not at all an NBA fan. I do like college basketball. I really like watching March Madness. My wife and I actually were at the national championship game back in 2019. Texas Tech, which was my alma mater, lost to Virginia. And that game was over in Minneapolis. And we're not too far from there, so my wife and I drove over to see that game. I was sad to see Texas Tech lose, but still, it's cool that they played for a national championship. Back in 1993, the Texas Tech women's basketball team won a national championship. And I remember watching that game with my family, and we were all super excited. I was only 11, but yeah. Trying to think what else. Weather has always fascinated me. I grew up in West Texas. Always had kind of the threat of tornadoes. Still never seen a tornado. I have a buddy that lives in New Jersey. He's a meteorologist. He lives in Hackensack, New Jersey. And every now and then him and I talk about taking a week off of vacation, renting a van, and just driving out into Kansas, Oklahoma, and just storm chasing for a week and just seeing what we can find. He, much like myself, has never seen a tornado and just is dying to see one. I dream about it a lot, like I have dreams where I'm storm chasing and I see a tornado. To me, it would be one of the most surreal things, to see. Not too long ago on Facebook and Twitter, I asked everybody, What's the most surreal moment of your life? For me, it's a few things. Seeing the birth of my 2 daughters, that was what a ton of people said was the number one, especially ladies commented and they said giving birth. That was definitely, I think, my number one. I think I've said this before. I met Willie Nelson once, got to hang out on his tour bus. That was very surreal, sitting at a table with Willie Nelson. And I got to meet Bill Clinton. I got to meet Barack Obama. I've met a lot of cool celebrities when I used to work in news. And that was very surreal. I feel like I had one other. Maybe the hurricanes. I know in driving down to Louisiana for Hurricane Gustav, there was nobody driving towards the coast. 4-lane interstate, 2 lanes south, 2 lanes north. Northbound, it was bumper to bumper traffic. And southbound, there was nobody. It was us, and it was emergency management, police, firefighter, ambulances, and National Guard people heading south. Everybody was heading north, and we were heading south. And that was a little scary. That was surreal. I never felt in danger for my life, but if I had had property or vehicles, yeah, I would have definitely feared for their damage. The other hurricane I went to, Hurricane Isaac, I was in Gulfport, Mississippi, where it made landfall. And I was actually on the beach. The hotel that we stayed in I had to sign a waiver that if we were hurt or killed, we could not sue the hotel. Obviously, if we were killed, it meant our family. They also, the lobby of the place had a ceiling that was about 12 feet tall, and about 2 feet from the ceiling, there was a line painted all the way around the inside of the lobby, a big room. And I went up, and every 10 feet or so, there was a break in that line, and there was a sign painted in that line break. And I went and read the sign, and it said, "This was the high water mark during Hurricane Katrina." So that hotel, which again was about probably 200, 300 yards from the actual beach, had water 10 feet high into the lobby. Some of the people that work there said that they had to, go to the second floor because the entire first floor was flooded. Crazy. Interesting stuff. I don't typically do mail call videos. I don't usually get big mail calls. I usually just get 1 or 2 items. But I've been saving up my dough, and I've got a big Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements package coming in the next week. So I'm hoping that my next video is going to be a unboxing, a mail call. If you guys like those videos, like I said, I don't typically watch them. I don't shoot them, but I might do it this one time because I do have a big order, a big shipment coming from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. Looking forward to that. Good shave today. I'm actually here in just a bit, and I'm slow with editing, so I may be late to the game. But Todd Stanfield, who has the Take Care Man YouTube and I guess Facebook, he has a podcast, and I'm going to be a guest on their podcast talking about men's mental health. I'm actually shooting that with him here in just another hour or two. So that'll be interesting to be on a podcast. What sort of podcast do you guys listen to? I listen to a few. Most of the ones I listen to are about history and whatnot. Historical events. I don't know. Find history and science all very interesting. Okay. Final update, I guess. I'll give you my shoulder's still kind of bothering me. I go see a physical therapist here in a few days. Hopefully get that kind of worked out a bit. I went to a doctor and he said, your shoulder's actually fine. I need some physical therapy. But it does kind of, it still bothers me. Stay away from those slip and slides, folks. Okay, thanks so much for the shave, or hanging out with me during the shave. Thanks for listening to my geeky weather knowledge. Hopefully you found some of that interesting. Like I said, drop some weather questions in the chat and I'll try to answer those. Looking forward to that next video. I think it's going to be a Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements mail call video, so that'll be cool. And yeah, we'll see what else develops. Thanks, guys.